when Ted was 15 in the summer of 1984, he was spending some time at his grandparents' lake cabin just south of Danbury, Wisconsin, east of Highway 35, around Devil's Lake. He had always been the great outdoorsman, playing and exploring in the woods, and he didn't think twice about going out all by himself for all-day adventures. And on this particular day, he'd been outside all day, so he was pretty tuckered out and decided to go to bed about 10 o'clock. Now, at this time, his grandparents' bedroom was on the other side of the cabin, and his grandparents also had a dog named Jake who would always stay in Ted's room when Ted was visiting. And it's a warm summer night, so Ted has the window cracked open so he can feel the breeze coming in, and so he can hear all of the crickets and night noises, which usually put him to sleep like a baby. And his bed is right under the window, so he can feel that cool breeze on his face, and he can hear that nocturnal concert as if he were outside sleeping under the stars. Nothing was out of the ordinary that night. The cricket lullaby works, and Ted falls asleep almost instantly. Hours later, he doesn't know what time exactly, but everyone was asleep. He suddenly wakes up, feeling like something is wrong. Still kind of groggy and just waking up, he notices that nothing outside is making any noise at all. No crickets, no frogs, no whippoorwills, nothing but dead silence. Thinking that's pretty odd, he holds his breath for a minute, listening super intently, trying to hear those noises that he hears on every other summer night. And as he's listening, he turns his head to look at the door of his bedroom, and there's a glow from a nightlight coming in from the hallway so Ted can kind of see around in the room, and he can see that Jake is not only not where he usually sleeps, but he is nowhere in Ted's room. And he guesses maybe 2 or 3 minutes pass when he hears it. A sound that to him sounded like a raccoon or something scratching on the outside of the cabin. And Ted thinks, what the hell is that? And everything else is still completely silent except for that scratching. And the noise starts to move down the wall closer to the bedroom window. And as he's looking out the window, it's very dark outside, but there's enough light in the sky that he can make out the trees and the branches in silhouette. And the scratching stops, and Ted is straining to adjust his eyes to the darkness when something moves in front of the window, completely blocking out all of the trees. It's huge, and no animal he can think of or even envision is big enough to block out the whole window. And he can't make out any features on its body, but he can see the ears of a canine on top of its head, and is hunched down looking in the window. Then he sees its eyes, and he is paralyzed with fear. Its eyes are glowing amber and blink every 10 to 15 seconds. And Ted's mind is racing. Can it see me? What is it gonna do? What am I gonna do? And a chill goes down his spine as he can hear this thing, which is only 10 to 12 inches away from him. He can hear it breathing, and he hears it let out an exhale. Not loud, but deep, followed by the distinctive, short, staccato puffs of an animal sniffing the air. About 30 seconds elapses, an absolute eternity to Ted. The creature then begins to show its teeth, almost like a grin of satisfaction at the smell of fear that has got to be exuding from Ted's body. And after another lengthy, or short, demonstration of the relativity of time, it stands up off its haunches, erect like a man, turns around, walks away from the window in the direction of the lake. And Ted knows this is his chance. He jumps out of bed into the hallway and starts gasping for air, both out of panic and because he thinks he was holding his breath for like the last 2 minutes. And he looks into the living room and he can see Jake sitting there, totally still, stiff as a board, hair standing on end, slightly growling as he's looking out the window at the deck. And as he's still trying to catch his breath, he turns to the hall closet, opens it up, grabs his 20-gauge shotgun, and loads it up. It's just a single shot, but it's better than nothing. And then he realizes if this thing wants to get in, all it has to do is break the glass on the deck patio doors. If it does that, Ted has no place to go. He is stuck between his bedroom and the patio doors that lead to his grandparents' bedroom, where his grandfather has a deer rifle that he can't get to. So he stands there, waiting for about 5 minutes, and nothing happens. Jake seems to calm down and comes over by his leg wanting some head scratches. And he thinks about waking up his grandparents to tell him what he saw, but he honestly didn't think they'd believe him. After all, he could barely believe it himself. But he calms down, goes back to his bedroom, takes the covers off the bed, lays on the floor with the gun and his dog at the ready in kind of a half sleep for the rest of the night. And Ted is so afraid of this thing returning that he can't even bring himself to get close enough to the window to close it. He waits until dawn before he closes it and locks it. And once daylight is in full force, he goes outside to see if he can find anything, any scratch marks or footprints or anything. And he doesn't find a thing. And he starts to wonder if he is going crazy. No. That thing was real. And Ted continued to sleep on the floor for about a week before he felt it was safe enough to return to his bed. And that window has stayed closed and locked ever since. Now, Ted didn't have any other encounters with Dogman, and the memory was kind of put out of his mind over time, until recently when he saw other people with similar encounters, and saw that 2 people had encounters in the very same area. And when he saw their experiences, he decided it was time to share his. And Ted says, "You don't know what true primal fear is until you encounter one of these things face to face. He never wants to experience it again." And if you want to listen to more Dogman stories while you're planning your Wisconsin vacation, click right here, and we will see you again on the In-Between.